All right. To everyone in the channel, we have with us Mr. David Weiss, who, from my understanding, is probably the world's preeminent expert on
Mm,
flat Earth theory.
most outspoken. We'll go with that.
All right, fair enough. I will tell you, in the efforts of transparency, that 2 weeks ago, had you asked me about flat Earth, I would have told you that you were fucking out of your mind.
Awesome.
And OG has shared some videos with me that I've watched, and now I have a whole lot of questions.
That's
So,
that's the best. Can't ask for anything more than that. And you're telling the story that every flat earther has. And my story was flat earth, you're absolutely insane. If you send me one more email, I'm going to block you from watching any of my podcasts or anything. I banned people from my social media. Then I was forced to look, went in with a closed mind to prove the earth is a globe and stop this nonsense. 6 years later, here I am talking to you. I quit my own company. I walked away from lots of money, and I'm doing this because in the end, we'll get to why this is the most important topic of our time, bar anything else out there.
fair enough. So, welcome to the Patriot Voice channel, and the floor is yours.
So, just real quick, for those of you that think this is stupid and are ready to tune out, I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for one proof of the globe. Just one. And I'll show you how to do that. But first, hear us out. Hear what this is. First, if you think that the flat earth is a disk floating in space, if you think that I think this is what the earth is, you're out of your mind because this is insanity. No flat earther thinks that we're a disk with other ball planets. No flat earther thinks that we're a disk with other disk planets. If you Google flat earth, you're going to end up with pictures like this. This is from the Flat Earth Society. Maybe you know that name because Obama plugged it a half a dozen times during his presidency. If you Google it, if you Google flat earth, you end up with this information. This is not what flat earth is. Real short, what is flat earth? Well, the easiest way to describe it is we live in the Antarctic basin. Large bodies of water, anything bigger than a bucket of water, at rest, lay flat. They need a container. If you had a bucket of water and I took away the bucket, water's gone. If you're going to get in a bathtub, I took away the bathtub, water's gone. Side of a pool, water's gone. Side of a lake, water's gone. Our world pond needs a container. That container is land that's higher, right? Land, any pond, puddle, lake, ocean needs a container, and that container is the land that's higher than the surface of the water. Well, Antarctica, they tell us, is the highest land on Earth. Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a ball. Antarctica is the shoreline surrounding our world. That's it. This is where we live. All of the continents are surrounded by water, but all of the water is surrounded by land. How much land? A lot of land. More than all of the oceans and all the continents combined. Antarctica is not a little continent at the bottom of a spinning space water ball impossibility. It's the shoreline of our world. What's out here? We'll get into that later. What's up?
All right, it's all you.
It's all.
You
You got questions, or you said you had questions. Let's go with your questions because I can talk for hours.
okay? I didn't know if you wanted to just give some general
It depends on which
impression to the
question. Here, let
listeners.
me list all of your questions for you. What about boats over the horizon? What about sunsets?
That's not a question I have.
What about seasons?
What about gravity?
What about gravity? What about the stars or all of the other planets round? What about pilots? What about scientists? What about NASA? What about the moon landings? Any one of those or any
I,
other
I'm I'm gonna make
Boats
it
on the
more.
horizon.
I'm
boats.
gonna make it. I'm gonna make it more difficult for you.
Go.
So after watching 13 hours of video that
Nice.
OG sent me,
That's a start.
um, I I cannot argue the boat on the horizon argument.
That's what got me. That's what, when I first started looking into this, I saw all these videos. I said, all right, I'm going to do it myself. Spent $1,000, P900, good tripod. Went down to the beach. I said, all right, there's a buoy that's 11 miles off my shore. And I zoomed in on it. And not only could I see the buoy, I could see the surface of the water beyond the buoy. Okay?
Okay.
That's impossible. The buoy should have been 66 feet below the curve, right? And the water beyond it should be hundreds of feet below it, but I can see it. I can see too far, right? When we look out in the distance, we think a boat went over the horizon. It didn't. But when you zoom in, what you're doing is you're opening up the sky and the land, making the angular size of the boat bigger, and that's how you can see it. Our eyes have an angular resolution limit of 0.02 degrees. Anything smaller than that, we can't see it. So when I zoom out, watch, this boat disappears from the bottom up. It's not going anywhere. It's these little waves that are closer. The boat's getting smaller because it's farther away, and they literally create a false horizon. This is an apparent horizon. It's not physical Earth curve. On a flat Earth, the clouds, if you go out on a cumulus cloud day where they're all spread out and they look like they're sitting on that nice deck, well, the ones over you are, 5,000, 10,000 feet in the air, whatever, 30 miles away or less. They're merged with the horizon. They're at your eye level. Are they really at your eye level, or is that just how you see? You know that those clouds are equally as high, but 20, 30 miles away, they're at eye level, and they're all merged into the horizon. And then once you start understanding how that works, how perspective works, how viewing celestial objects versus terrestrial objects happens, then you realize we're on a flat plane. There's no question about it.
Okay, so why can I not at night take a powerful telescope and see the sun?
See the sun. So, very good. So here's the water surface. Here's the sky. And as we go into the distance, everything gets merged together. So now there's a boat in between here, but you can't see it because it's merged in the horizon. I zoom in with my camera. I increase the angular size. I can see the boats right there. The sun is a celestial object. So when we're looking straight up, we're looking through the least amount of atmosphere. When I'm looking across the Earth plane, I'm looking through all of the atmosphere. Okay? As we go up, the air gets thinner and clearer. But when I look across, I'm looking through the thickest soup that there is. Okay? So when you look at the clouds above you, when you're looking into the distance, all those clouds are lined up in your eye level. Everything merges into your eye level, and you can't see through it. So that's a celestial object. So I'm going to show you a quick little demonstration I did here, and this is going to show you exactly how it works. So I call this my flat Earth kitchen. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but if you have, maybe your people listening haven't. But I just got to find it because Zoom does this to me quite often. They move things, and then I have to literally relocate everything that I was doing. So here it is, flat Earth kitchen. So you can see this line right here. This line is level, and I'm moving the sun, a celestial object, across it. This is my flat Earth counter. You can't see it. It's like right here. And you'll see, and I'm viewing it from a celestial point of view. It's about the same height as this string. You can see that it's level. So this could be a city skyline, trees, mountains, or even just a cloud deck. It's opaque, and the sun never goes below it. Now I'm going to show you the same thing from the other side. I got a camera on the flat Earth counter looking up. If I showed you this line first and said, is this level? You would say, no, it's not. It's going down. And if I said, is that sun going below this opaque barrier? And you'd be like, yeah, it's going below it. Well, no, it's not, right? And this opaque barrier, look at the line now. It almost looks like it's going straight down. This is at eye level because it's off in the distance. Even though it's above the camera, from a terrestrial point of view, it's a limit. So now I'm comparing it to a real sunset. This is the apparent horizon, but look, what's it going behind here? This is called the atmospheric deck of opacity. It's just where the air becomes too dense, and I'm zoomed in on this. If I zoom out, this space between this line and this line closes up to nothing. And you just see the sun go away, look like it's going down. That's due to perspective. Now, when I go beyond this opaque barrier, no matter how much zoom you have, you can't zoom through this. I'm not opening something that got smaller. You're trying to zoom into something behind something opaque. Doesn't happen. That's why you can't see it. The throw of the sun's light does not make it. Its wavelengths do not make it through the atmosphere to our eyes. I was on a show the other day, and the guy was talking about this one scientist that somehow was able to film the sun when it's out of view from elevation because it was picking up a different wavelength, a wavelength that our eyes can't see. But the visible light from the sun that our eyes can see doesn't go that far. The throw of the sun's light is not that far. One more example. I filmed this 7 different times. It has to be super clear, freezing, below freezing, so 32 degrees. I'm freezing my ass off. And I have a drone. I'm looking west from Connecticut, so not over the water. And I watched the sun, and it went down, down, down. Now, if we were spinning, it would just keep on going. But it didn't. It took 5 minutes. It went down, 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 and then it stopped. And it sat here for 10 minutes. This is super sped up. And it never went down. It just went away. Watch it again over here. It just went away. It literally sat on the horizon for 10 friggin' minutes. My friends at the beach watched it set from the bottom up 10 minutes earlier. I could still see it. Go ahead.
Is the moon solid? And why are there phases? And why do we see everything different in the northern hemisphere than the southern hemisphere?
What do you mean? Different stars, different moons? What are you saying?
Yeah,
Upside down moon?
Yeah, how come it looks like it's spinning the other way from the southern hemisphere, from the northern hemisphere?
What's spinning the other way? The sky is spinning the other way? So so imagine the sky is like a big upside down dinner plate and it's spinning around, right? And so I'm here in the north and I'm watching it and it's spinning clockwise. It's going it's counterclockwise, from my right shoulder to my left shoulder. I'm watching the stars go across. And if I walked across the room to the southern side of my room, turned around and looked, those stars would be going from my left shoulder to my right shoulder because I turned around. Everywhere in the world, the stars, the sun, and the moon rise in the east, set in the west. They're all going in the same direction. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to share my screen. So this is, have you guys seen my app? This is the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which I'm not sharing. I have to share. There it is. Where is it?
Your app is my background on my iPhone.
Nice, very good. How'd you do that? Oh, you did a snapshot of it?
Screenshot, yeah.
A screenshot, nice. Everybody wants it to be a working wallpaper, and then they give me a bad rating. But Apple and Google Play don't allow you to do that. So, lighten up, people. All right, so here we go. So the stars and the sun and the moon circle around the flat Earth. The center of the clock, the sky is a perfect clock, is the magnetic center. Some people think there's a magnetic mountain there on one of them, and all compasses will point towards that. The sun just moves to the west. It rises in the east and sets in the west. If I speed it up, you'll see that the sun is catching up to the moon. The moon is waning, and after 28 times around, the moon will disappear and reset. So right now we're going into a new moon. 28 times around, the sun will lap it. So the position of the moon, its phases, keep track of the months or the moons. There used to be 13, 28 moons, 28-day moons, but they hijacked our calendar also and screwed us all up with that. So the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. And if I slow it down and turn on the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. Right now, we're in this zodiac, and the stars lap the moon once a year. That means they're going just a tiny bit faster. So the sun will stay in this constellation for about a month, and then this constellation will catch up to it, and the sun will be in here for a month, then it'll be in here, and then here, and a year later, it'll be right back to where we started. So the stars keep track of the weeks and the months. So let me jump out of the app, and then I'll explain why we see different stars in the north and the south. So imagine we're in a room together, 10-foot high ceilings, big empty room, and we have random lights in the ceiling, recessed lighting. Those are the stars. I'm standing on the floor. I'm looking up at the lights in the ceiling. So for a quick question, if I want to know what shape of the floor is, should I measure the floor, or should I ask you to tell me what shape the lights are, and that will dictate the shape of the floor? Ridiculous question. So just think about that when people say, well, what are the stars are round, the moon is round, the earth is round. I don't care what shape they are. They're not what we're standing on. Okay, so now we're in this room. Now we're going to expand the room to 10 miles wide. guys ever been to Vegas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You're in one of those hotels that has a super long hotels, and you look from one end of the hallway to the other, and the lights in the far end of the hallway literally look like they're touching the floor just in the length of that hallway. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I expand this room to 10 miles. Yeah. So 10 miles wide. Well, a half a mile away, I'm not even going to be able to see you. You're going to be gone, maybe 2 miles, whatever. I send you 5, 6, 7 miles away from me. Your angular size is too small for me to see. I can't see you. And when I say, hey, look up, you're going to look up and see completely different lights than I'm seeing. You're not even going to be able to see my lights. And if we added the atmosphere, the thickness of the atmosphere, even if you had a zoom to open up that hallway, you're not going to be able to get through that atmosphere as I showed you in the previous video. Okay, because that atmospheric deck. So I'm looking up, there's a North Star. You look up, you don't see the North Star at all because it's too far away. Period.
All right, I've got one here from one of the viewers. Says, jump on a plane and fly east around the globe. You will get back to your starting point.
1,000% correct. And you know what else you can do? You can go west around the globe and go right back to where you started from. Dead reckoning west. All right, so whoever wrote that, I hope you're listening very carefully. Billions, with a B, billions of people have circumnavigated, including me, the globe, heading east or west. Okay? Billions with a B. Guess how many have done it south? Do you want to guess?
100.
Zero. Nobody has ever done it south because you can't. It doesn't work that way. Let me show you how circumnavigation works. It's very, very simple. Here's the North Pole. It's our magnetic mountain. My compass is pointing towards the north. See the needle? It's pointing towards the north. West is right here. I'm trying to push this compass west, but I have to keep turning it because it's making me turn. If I want to dead reckon 270 degrees west, I have to make that a circle. And if I want to go east 90 degrees, that compass is going 90 degrees east. Right? You think that's a straight line. It's a circle around the center. This does not prove the earth is flat or a globe, okay? Because it's the same on both. But if I try to dead reckon, watch this. I'm going to dead reckon west, and I'm not going to correct to the north. I'm heading south already. Bam. Every one of these lines is south. Away from the center is south, okay? East and west are circles. I don't care if it's a globe or flat. Now, if I try to go south on a globe, I should be able to go south off of here and then pop up over here. Excuse me.
So why don't we just go down to Antarctica then and
Very
walk
good
around
question.
a big
Very good
circle
question.
on the earth, on the ice?
Well, so because it's off limits, you're not allowed to go there. Have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty? The Antarctic Treaty in 1959, after Admiral Byrd flew out over Antarctica, he said, there's more land out here beyond the poles filled with resources that no human has ever stepped foot upon. So while we're having wars for resources and land all across the world, they find unlimited amounts of energy and resources. No one's there. And they say, oh, treaty, nobody can go there for 3 reasons. 1, got to protect the penguins. God forbid we screw up their migratory path. 2, it's the only pristine ice on world. We can't afford to pollute it. And 3, the Russians could sneak under the earth and attack us. That's ridiculous because the Russians are in the center of the earth, along with right next to Alaska, right? So that's absolutely insanity what's going on. So let's talk about why don't we just walk around Antarctica. So here's the way that you can prove the earth is a ball, and do it in one day. It only costs, I don't know, a couple $100,000. 2 airplanes here. We all get on it. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie. We get everyone on there. One plane flies 1,000 feet off the ground and follows the coastline around, so everyone can see it the entire time, following the coastline. The other plane goes this way, looking out the right window, following the coastline. Okay. They say this is 13,000 miles around. So a plane, they'd have to go 6,500 miles. About 12 hours later, both planes should meet over here, 13,000 miles. Perfect. Each one goes 6,500 miles. You can see how fast you're going. Totally verifiable, totally doable, totally awesome, easy schmeezy. The problem is that's not how the world is set up. The last person that tried to go around Antarctica was Captain Cook in his boat. It took him 3.5 years, and he went between 60 and 80,000 miles before he made his journey around. This is the way you go around. This is between 60 and 80,000 miles. Okay? So here's another way to show a very, very interesting thing is if you want to go from Santiago to Australia, they go all the way up to the northern hemisphere, across and down. If you want to go to Western Australia, instead of just cutting across the bottom of the ball, right? Bam, that would be the trick. They go, remember this course, all the way up, East Coast, West Coast, all the way over to China, to Singapore, and down. They go all the way up here into the northern hemisphere and across. Why is that? Remember that course. Santiago, up across America, Far East, Singapore, Australia. It's a straight line. Never, ever, ever does somebody flying to any two locations in the north dip into the south to get there. Never do they ever cross the equator. But anytime you're going from a southern location, a deep southern location, to another southern location, they go up into the north every single time. Why is that? Let's look at some plane routes. Okay, here's
can I interrupt? I mean,
NASA,
everybody. I mean, they fly straight routes all the time, nonstop.
No, they do. Every flight is straight.
But yet we see the satellites and NASA showing us pictures of the.
Hold on. One thing at a time. We'll get into NASA. You're never going to use NASA as a resource again. NASA is not a space agency. NASA, not a space agency. They are pure deception to make you think you live on a globe and to give you pride. We're going to get into it.
Okay. I don't want to take over the channel, but I just got to say, so where's all the pilots? Where's the military? Where's anybody coming out and prove? I mean,
yeah,
you could have a few people that were lying, but I
where
mean,
are the people? Where are the doctors that are screaming about this thing that's going in your arm? They're out there. Okay, you're not going to see them on the mainstream media. Okay, so let's watch this, and I'm going to show you. And we've interviewed pilots, and many pilots know, and they won't. The ones that come out are fired. Astronauts that speak out disappear. It's unreal what's going on. So flying from from Argentina to India. Why do they go all the way up here? And the answer is because it's a straight line, right? Why don't they cut across Africa? There's plenty of airports there, right? So NASA's in charge of GPS, NASA's in charge of radar, and NASA's in charge of all international flight plans. So they got a monopoly on, pilots won't even know. They just take off and land and follow their GPS, and they don't know where the heck they are. So going from Hawaii to New York, there was an emergency landing, and they stopped in Seattle. Why did they stop in Seattle? Because Seattle's right on their flight path, right? We go from Dallas to Beijing, and they had an emergency stop in Calgary. Why? Calgary's right in line. Perfect, right there. Then we had one from London to Islamabad, Pakistan. The emergency stop all the way up in Moscow, like way the hell out of the way. Straight line on a flat Earth map. Notice none of these planes, these are all in the north. They're not going down here and then back up, because that would be ridiculous. And one more, we have Chicago to Dal, emergency stop in Moscow. Same thing, straight line, right? Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane, right? Here's an emergency landing. They were right near Hawaii, between Taiwan and L.A. Was it L.A.? Los Angeles, right? And they had to land. They should have landed in Hawaii. They could have landed in L.A., but they landed in Alaska, right? Why? Same reason. Taiwan, emergency, Alaska. Hawaii is all the way out here, okay? Do you want to destroy NASA now?
But what about all the satellites?
Satellites. What satellites are you talking about? Have you ever seen one?
Well, they attached to my phone.
There's no satellites attached to your phone. Your phone is using cell towers. Just go into Arizona, into the Red Rock area. There's no service there. So you're not connecting. They don't even. Phone companies don't even say that you're using satellites. You're assuming you use satellites. It's all ground based and underwater cables. It's all done with underwater cables and towers. When you're away, like there's dead spots like away from town. Well, how does a satellite? Satellite should be everywhere. There's no GPS. There's no GPS over the open oceans, over the southern oceans in between California and Hawaii. There's no GPS over the Amazon because there's no place to plug in a tower there. Okay, all of this is GPS, ground positioning system. Go ahead.
All right, David, I got Aaron Chaldix wanted to make a comment or ask a question. Go ahead, Aaron.
I can't hear.
Yeah, we can't hear him. So while he's getting the mic worked out,
yes.
Aaron, hold on a second.
How do you explain GPS? I mean,
yeah, so GPS, very easy. So when I was a kid, we had a thing called the Loran system long before GPS came out. And it just takes towers, triangulates, and I would get two numbers, 8-digit numbers, and I would look on a map and line up those numbers, a northwest and a east-south, and it's like, okay, I'm right there, and that's where I was. Then all of a sudden they came out with a graphic overlay and said it's from space. All it was is pictures of the Earth from high-altitude airplanes that they graphically overlaid with computer processing, and they're telling you it's from satellites. Satellites are the dumbest thing ever when you think about it. Arthur C. Clarke made them up, and then all of a sudden they existed, right? It's called predictive programming. When you look at what a satellite is supposed to do, satellites are falling around the Earth. Did you know that? That they're supposedly falling around the Earth, and the reason they don't hit the ground is because every time they fall a mile, the Earth drops a mile, because they set the speed and the drop rate to match. So it's insanity. The higher up they are, the faster they're going because they got to go farther before they drop. So you have to believe in satellites that all of these things are just falling around the Earth. Let's take this satellite right here. Let's say this is a geostationary satellite. Then I'm going to show you what satellites are as soon as I show you what they're not. Okay? This one stays over the same point of land. It's called a geostationary satellite. You have to believe that satellite is matching the spin of the Earth. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. It has to go faster than 1,000 miles an hour because it's up in space, right? And just to stay over the Earth while it's spinning, okay? But you have to remember, while we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, we're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, speeding up and slowing down, speeding up and slowing down. That thing has to match that motion, match the chasing the sun motion. All of these satellites are matching all of these motions and mirroring everything, and they never break down. They never crash into each other. They never do anything. They actually do fall back to Earth, right? You know why? Because they're balloons. Guess who owns all of the helium companies in the world? All of the major helium companies in the world. And guess, same place, is the largest consumer of helium in the world. Do you want to guess? Rhymes with Massa.
You're kidding.
NASA, and they admit they have like 20 different programs where they launch balloons with satellites on them. And they're crashing all over the Earth, and they quickly get snatched up by military people that come in, but people are getting videos of them on the app under What About Satellites. There's tons of videos of this happening. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is admitted fact. But, you're funding NASA. How come they're not telling you about this, right? They admit that there's tens of thousands of these in the air at all time. But getting back to the satellites, we're spinning and twirling and whirling, right? Check this out. This is the hypersonic track sled. Check it out, sled track. Mach 8.6. Did you see it? I encourage anyone to look this up on YouTube. Just search hypersonic sled track and you'll hear it. And it's shocking to the body how fast it is. You have to believe that we are orbiting the sun 10 times faster than this. You have to believe while we're doing that, speeding up and slowing down in an elliptical orbit every year, that we're chasing the sun at 90 times faster than that. And we have lakes that look like this.
we wouldn't feel it because of gravity.
Stop that. That is you're just throwing words out there. We're speeding up, slowing down, curving and twirling. When you're in a car and a car takes a turn, do you feel it? You shouldn't because of gravity, according to you. But in reality, we're going in all these different directions at once. Look at this. We're not moving. Gravity is a made-up story. Gravity doesn't exist. Our world is a giant battery system. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode. The salt water carries the current. The land is the salt bridge, and it's a free energy system. The earth itself does not move. It has a negative charge to it, and it attracts things. It literally, the negative charge has a weak attraction, just like they say gravity, right? And so it says, hey, down is this way. That's all you need. Down is this way. Some people think it's just buoyancy and density. I say the earth has a testable negative charge, and we've done experiments. I can tell you about them. I can show you. And then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I had a handful of ping pong balls, marbles, and a helium balloon, and I was holding them over a pool, and I let them go, helium balloon's going to go up because it's less dense than the air around it. The balls, the marbles, and the ping pong balls will go down because they're more dense. The ping pong balls will sit on top of the water, and the marbles will go to the bottom because of buoyancy and density. That's it, right? Believing that we are being pulled to the center of the earth, right? Everywhere where we are, our feet are being pulled to the center of the earth, and the earth is falling away from us in every direction is insanity. It's brainwashing, complete and total nonsense. To believe that. How about this? Everything is being pulled to the exact center of the earth. So some atom at the center of the earth goes, hey, I'm the center. Everybody come towards me. What if there was another atom that was halfway between the center and the outside of the earth and goes, hey, no, I'm the center. Everybody come to me. Who appointed that atom the center of the earth, right? I'm kind of being facetious a little bit because the entire idea of gravity, which is a theory, which Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, says, I don't know what gravity is. We don't know. But we have to make up 97% of it with dark matter and dark energy, right? They say that space is 97% dark matter and dark energy. We've never seen it. We've never measured it, but it has to be there, right? That's ridiculous, okay? And people just believe this stuff. People don't even know what they believe. That's what turned me into a flat earther. When I found out the stuff I didn't know that I believed. Go ahead.
Let me see if this is working. Aaron, you want to try that again? See if Dave can hear you. Dave, were you able to hear him?
No, you can repeat the question though.
Aaron, you want to? Okay, he said he's going to save his question until we get to the moon. Let me open up Quincy Jones here and see. What's your question, Quincy? Said when you see two suns, is that the reflection off the firmament?
That's a great question. So there's been a lot of recent sightings of what we call the second sun or the spirit sun. And the way I think we see it is the sun and the moon that we see are not physical. They are more of a reflection. Like when you get a magnifying glass and you're burning ants as a kid. I know you did it. Don't deny it. That little focus point of energy is the sun. Now, if I got that focus point of energy on the ground, I could hear somebody talking. But if I lifted that 6 inches in the air, the little dot, that focus point of energy, didn't disappear. It's 6 inches in the air. I believe that the firmament above us is that lens, and the sun is within or above the firmament, and it's being focused down as more of a reflection that we all see in a spot to ourselves. So sometimes during an eclipse or certain weather conditions, you can see beyond the sun and you can see the projector. I could show you a video that I did, an experiment I did during an eclipse that'll blow your mind if you want. But that's kind of the source. It's like watching a rear projection of a movie on a hanging sheet. You watch the movie on the sheet, but if you stare through the sheet carefully and the movie isn't that bright, you can see the projector lens behind it. That's kind of what we see. That's the second sun that I think people are seeing when it's not a lens flare, and it's very interesting.
Well, we can see the stars. I mean, we're seeing them. I know they've been burnt out for thousands of years, but we're seeing them.
Yeah.
And we landed on the moon. So
Cool story, bro. So let's talk about that. And I can scientifically prove that you can't see the stars. Okay. So you're told that these stars are gigantic, all different sizes, flying through an infinite space. You believe that once upon a time there was nothing, it exploded, and all the rocks turned into planets, and all the gases turned into burning balls bigger than the rocks, and they left a vacuum in between. So now you got burning gas balls in a space vacuum. All of this is scientifically, provably, physically impossible. But let's talk about the angular size of things and how we see them. So they tell us the sun is one of the yoga balls, and we're a BB next to that yoga ball, right? That's the model that you guys believe in, right? I believed in it.
yeah, we're a
Right?
small planet in a galaxy in a
Yeah.
solar system, and
Yeah.
we're just
Don't make me put my glasses back on. So we're this giant sun, and we have the tiny little planet. That's not the meme I wanted. And so imagine if I brought the sun just a mile over your head. It would fill the entire sky, right? Just for modeling purposes. It would fill the entire sky. Then we move it away 93 million miles, and it becomes the size of a coin held at arm's length. You with me?
yeah, following.
Okay, so why did it get smaller? It got smaller because perspective. It gets smaller as it moves away. You with me? So we can use science, we could use math to say, all right, if we made it twice as far, what's the angular size of the sun? Remember, it filled the entire sky and it turned into a coin at arm's length. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would it get? And the answer is a lot smaller, right? If I made it 3 times as far, scientifically, it would be too small for our eye to see. Well, that's not even a light hour away. Right, it's 8 light minutes away. So, 4, 2, 4, 8. So 8 times as far would be like a light hour. If I made the sun 1 light hour away, it would be magnitudes too small to see. 1 light hour away, it would be too small to see. Now they tell us Polaris is 48 times bigger. Okay, well, if I made it 48 times farther than the 1 light hour, that's 48 hours. So if Polaris was 2 light days away, scientifically we can prove that our eyes could not see it. And we're eliminating the inverse square law of light, which means the light gets dimmer and dimmer because it's spreading out as it's going through the universe. Eliminating that. Let's just assume that it can magically stay the same brightness. At 2 light days away, it's too small to see. They tell us it's 433 light years away. That you can't even fathom what that is. Let's talk about the closest star. The closest star is Alpha Centauri. It's 25 trillion miles away. That's the closest. The other ones are magnitudes farther. So 25 trillion miles away. Let's talk about that. How far is 25 trillion miles? Well, if you were traveling at a mile per second, that's pretty fast. That's 3,600 miles an hour. Okay. And you went for 1 trillion seconds, 1 mile per second for 1 trillion seconds. How many miles have you gone? Very easy. Very easy. But they didn't teach us to think. 1 mile per second. If I was going 1 mile per second, I went for 1 second, I went 1 mile. If I went for 5 seconds, I went 5 miles. If I went a trillion seconds, I went a trillion miles. Okay, so if I did that for a trillion seconds, I'm 1/25th of the way to Alpha Centauri. You with me? You agree?
Aye.
Okay, how long is 1 trillion seconds? In time. Without a calculator, don't Google it. Without a calculator, if you guess it within a day, I'll give you a Bitcoin. Take a guess.
10,000 years.
10,000 years. Anybody else? 31,000 years. Okay, 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. Now figure that out in like miles. 25 trillion miles away, and you think our eye can see that little star? All of the stars that we see are here. They're close. They're within the Earth system. Check this out. This is going to blow your mind. We set up a balloon in Arizona with high definition cameras pointing up, not down, up. And before it even took off, it was a beautiful, clear, starry night. What happens when it gets to 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 feet? You're going to see more and more stars because we're going to be up through the thickness of the atmosphere, right? That's what you would think. Well, what happened was, by the time we hit, I think, 50 or 60,000 feet, all of the stars were gone. Let that sink in. What are stars? Well, here's star, here's Capella. Our consumer optics have outgrown their lives. Anybody can film this. Capella is a really easy one to film, right? Here's Sirius, right? Do these look like burning balls trillions of miles away? Impossible distances? Impossible brightnesses? Here's Arcturus, one of my favorites. This one is amazing. These are lights within the Earth system. Right? We're twirling and corkscrewing in all these different directions, but none of the stars ever change. Any night of the year, you go out and look at the stars, mark them, and go out a year later, 10 years later, same night, same time. Every star will be in the exact same position. This is nonsense.
Martin, what's your question?
Look up star in a jar. That's where they...
Martin's asking, where is the International Space Station?
Hollywood.
I'd say in a pool somewhere.
Yes, very good. So I'll show you that in a second. But the International Space Station where they do the training is called the National Buoyancy Lab, where they have supposedly a full replica of the space station underwater, and they practice their spacewalks. Well, being underwater in a pressure system versus being in outer space where outer space is trying to suck everything out of your spacesuit, that's a completely different thing. Here's the National Buoyancy Lab. Here it is. They have green screens in this pool. Wonder why they have green screens in the pool, right? But look up here. What's this on this wall? What's this poster? You zoom in on this puppy. It's a scuba diver handing a Vitruvian man a power tool. Well, you can't see, it's kind of cut off here, where a rocket is trying to break through a dome, right? Why do they have that at the National Buoyancy Lab, right? This is, they're mocking us, right? When you understand how fake space is, how fake space travel is, your mind is blown because it's unbelievable. When you watch their videos and they rarely show us spacewalks anymore, we can catch bubbles coming out of their suits, from a crease or whatever when they move around. A bubble, right? They go, oh, that's a fleck of paint, and then they deny it. Ice. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. It's bubbles. It's bubbles in their spacesuits, and they're using. They have green screens in those pools, and we questioned them about it years ago. And they said, oh, that's just so it looks more realistic for the astronauts when they're training. That's not how a green screen works. I don't see this image back here. This image is behind me. I don't see it. I see a green screen. Okay? It doesn't make this more realistic for me.
Okay, so you said something about when we get up high enough, we don't see the stars.
Yeah.
But the guy with the cat name, I can't remember. He was a Red Bull dude that jumped and almost died. Baumgartner, I think it was.
Baumgartner,
Felix Baumgartner.
Yeah.
So when they showed the cameras from him, you could clearly see the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah. So first, when you're looking up, first there was 2 test jumps that they did before that, and they filmed them with regular cameras, and they showed amazing flat horizons. But then when they did it, they used GoPros with Felix. Right, this is what he showed, and he said in the interview right after, "I saw the curve of the Earth."
Live.
Yeah. I saw the curve of the Earth. Right, but there's 2 ways to look at it. One, he's looking through curved glass, so he thinks he saw the curve. He expected to see the curve, so he saw the curve. The other one is he's just an outright liar, which I'm going to go with the second one. But this is what they showed us. Well, we took this camera and we zoomed in. We see this little river and this little mountain and all of this stuff. This entire thing is New Mexico. Okay? Planet New Mexico. Did you know that New Mexico covered a quarter of the Earth? Okay? All of this land is New Mexico. One more time. All of this land is New Mexico. Now, here's where there wasn't a GoPro camera. When he was sitting in there inside the capsule, there was a camera above his head looking at the door. And when he opened the door, the horizon was flat and straight, right at camera level, just like it works on a flat Earth. Okay? And then we got another screenshot of when he climbed into the capsule from the ground and the camera was on and the horizon was at the exact same level. Straight and level at ground level and at 127,000 feet. So there's no denying this. Neil deGrasse Tyson has moved the globe post again. When we pointed all this out, he did a speech and he goes, well, Felix, jumped out of a perfectly good balloon. And he goes, that shit is flat. He goes, you can't see the curve from that height. Felix said he saw it, but he didn't. It was a GoPro lens. They have to own it because we exposed it. Every time we expose it, they move the globe post again. They used to say you can see it from 40,000 feet, but you can't. You can't see it from an airplane. Like, in the next time you're in an airplane, look out the left window, see the horizon at your eye level. Look out the right window, see the horizon at eye level. Draw a line and go right through your eyes. They're at eye level. At that height, with the size of the Earth, the horizon should be 78,000 feet below you. But for some reason, you see it at eye level. You do their math, their globe, the horizon should be 78,000 feet when you're flying at 39,000 feet. It should be 78,000 feet below you. You know how high that is? It's ridiculous.
Tiffany, did you have a question? There you go.
What's the question?
What's your question, Tiff? So why is there no end if it's flat? Why don't you run into something?
You do. I'll tell you that in a second. Why I got this up. Let me ask you a question. It's a test question. Is that the Hubble telescope, or is that a Del Monte can of beans with a soda can and some tin foil on it with some airplane wheels from my little balsa wood glider that I made and photoshopped in there? Which one?
Sorry.
What is it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they say that's the friggin' the Hubble Space Telescope.
The general theory at the moment is Photoshop.
It's not. That's what the NASA. That's an official NASA photo of the Hubble Space Telescope that's taking these deep pictures of outer space. You know, when you're taking a long exposed picture, you have to be very still, right? So on Earth, at these giant observatories, the cement pads are like 20 feet thick. They're incredible pads because you can't have any vibration. And when they're doing a deep shot, tracking the deep spot in space, the technician isn't even allowed to walk by it because the vibration of their feet could ruin the long exposure. Are they forgetting that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, and flying through the friggin', space at 500,000 miles per hour? What difference does that tiny... And then this thing, besides mirroring all those images, it's going another 17,500 miles an hour just to keep up with the Earth. Okay? This is nonsense. This is people just believe because it's easier than knowing. Everything I'm teaching you, you have to think about. But anything Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, says, you can just believe. Okay? You can just believe because it's easier than knowing. Belief is the enemy of knowing.
Let me push back. I hear what you're saying. Observe with your eyes and what you know. Mm-hmm. So if it's flat and the sun just circles around us in the sky and it's closer, and you mentioned something about a dome, right? Mm-hmm. So I can see just by the shadows in my living room coming from the sun going, rising in the east and setting in the west. I can see that in January, the shadows are different in my house through the windows than they are in July.
100%.
So the seasons are real. The temperatures change.
Yeah.
So
this
if
is
we're
how
not in
seasons
an
work.
angle,
This is how seasons work. So first, I'll tell you how seasons work, and then we'll show you how they don't work on a globe. So imagine where are you guys located? What state? You're in
all over the world.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm here in Connecticut. In Connecticut, and everything freezes in the winter. It's horrible. Okay. So imagine you guys come and visit me, and we're here, and we're sitting out in the middle of a football field in December or January, and it's frozen solid. We're just sitting on ice. It's just cold, and we're like questioning why the hell are we sitting outside? So we're sitting outside, two of us, and we're 20 feet apart. Okay, because of COVID. All right, we're 20 feet apart. We don't want to get sick, and we're both freezing. But then the third person comes over, and they've got a giant heat lamp, nice, beautiful heat lamp, and they got it on a pole, and they're holding it 15 feet over your head. Okay, directly over your head. You look up and you go, I feel that heat. And guess where it is? It's high in the sky. If I put a little stick in the ground, there's really not much of a shadow. Okay, it's high in the sky, and that's your summer sun. I'm 20 feet away from you. It's not so high in the sky for me. It's over there. It's lower in the sky. It's farther away, and I could barely feel the heat. I'm still freezing. That's my winter sun. It's low in the sky. If I put a stick down, the shadow is completely different. 6 months later, that person takes that light, migrates it out over. Now it's over me. It rose, even though they kept it 15 feet off the ground. It's high in the sky for me. It's low in the sky for you. I'm warm. You're cold. That's how seasons work. Let me show you on the app how seasons work. So here it is. Let me turn off the stars. So the sun migrates between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. When it's out over Capricorn in December, that's when the outer southern lands have their summer. Okay? So South Africa is having their summer. Central America is having their summer. Here in Connecticut, I'm freezing because the sun never gets too close for me. It's way out south, so it's always lower in the sky. I have a shorter day because it's farther away, and it sets sooner because of its distance. But 6 months later, I can move it to the Tropic of Cancer, and look, Miami, the California, Mexico, freezing. I mean, it's hot because the sun's over them. Australia has their winter because the sun is farther away. It's the inner north, right? We're having our summer in the inner north. And here's another thing. They're always telling us with words. Our North Pole is called the Arctic. The South Pole is called the Antarctic. Why did they name it that? Well,
and so the question that just came was, how does the moon work in this?
I'm going to show you, but let me finish this, and then we'll answer that. Why is it called the Arctic and the Antarctic? Well, they're talking about the sun. Anybody inside of the Tropic of Cancer, the sun is arcing around them. You see how it's arcing around them? It's arcing around them. If I'm outside of Capricorn, I'm in the Antarctic region, and the sun is antarcing. It comes towards me and away from me, but it doesn't arc around me. The Antarctic, the sun antarcs away from towards and away from you, and in the Arctic, it arcs around you. The moon does the same thing, but the moon doesn't take 6 months to go between the tropics. The moon migrates out in 2 weeks and back in 2 weeks. Did you know how we have the 24-hour sun in June in Norway and in Alaska because the sun never gets far enough away from these inner northern places? Well, did you know that the moon doesn't set every month for a week? Every month, the moon stays up in the air in the inner north for a week because it's doing the same thing that the sun does, but it does it every 28 days instead of every 365 days. The idea that the seasons are caused by the tilt of the earth is insanity, right? In June, and here in Connecticut, in this temperate zone, and June 21st, on the summer solstice, when I watch the sun come towards me, arise on the horizon, as soon as I see the sun, I can close my eyes and I can feel the heat on my face. That is at an 89-degree tilt. That is the most severe tilt. Any farther would be below the horizon. 89 degrees tilt, the most severe tilt. I can feel the heat on my face. In December 21st, on the winter solstice, At solar noon, when the sun is high in the sky, the highest it is for that day, I have a much more direct angle. I can look at the sun and I can't even feel the heat on my face. A much more direct angle, and this is what makes it worse. In the helio-nonsensical model, during my winter, the sun is between 3 and 5 million miles closer to me than it is in my summer. I'm looking at the sun at a much more direct angle, millions of miles closer to me, can't feel the heat. In the summer, millions of miles farther, most severe angle, through all the atmosphere, I can feel the heat right away. That, when you think about it, when you apply actual thinking, proves, seasons prove the globe is nonsense.
Janet, what was your question? The Earth is flat. Does it actually still spin?
No, it doesn't. Very good. Great question. The Earth is actually immovable. Every test that's been done for axial rotation, for curvature, it has not, doesn't do anything. The sky, the way I look at it, now there's a big question. Is there a dome? Is there not a dome? Is it physical? Is it energetic? Is it frozen oxygen? Is it glass? I don't know. Can't reach it. But I think it's more like an upside down dinner plate. It's kind of flat, just like an upside down dinner plate, not like a salad bowl. Like, this shows you like a salad bowl. I think it's closer. I think it's much lower because we've all the rockets that go up, no one's ever on them and they don't go up. But there was a amateur rocket that was shot up in Arizona called the Go Fast rocket. And they did one thing that NASA never does, which gives us an uninterrupted feed from the rocket. The rocket went straight up. It was spinning, but we have a camera looking down, a camera looking out, and it went straight up 73 miles, and all of a sudden, it hit something. It went kerplunk, not into water, but into a thicker medium, okay? NASA did some backpedaling with this spin, no spin, de-spin nonsense, right? But here's the funny thing. While it was there, it was kind of floating really weird for a little bit, for like a minute or so. But when it turned on its side, we could see the moon. That dot is the moon. We zoomed in on it, it's the moon. Well, at that time, the moon was over New Zealand. So if the Earth was a basketball and the top of the basketball was Arizona, we're like a quarter of a millimeter over the basketball. And New Zealand is under the basketball. How did that rocket see the moon? The answer is simple. Earth is flat.
So I know we're running out of time. One last question.
Go.
Why would they lie to us?
Why the lie? So that's a great question. Thanks for holding it for the end. So who are they? Well, this is who they are. These are the people that run the world. United Nations, Council of Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, all of this stuff. This isn't even questionable. You can look into all this stuff. That's a whole nother thing. These are the people that are running the world. Have you guys looked into Tataria yet? Mud floods in Tataria?
Yes.
Yeah, I had some questions about that as well. But
yeah, so
I guess we'll have to save that for another talk.
Let me. Can we just go a couple minutes longer, or?
We can.
No,
We'll go.
I'll go.
Yeah. No, no. We'll go a little bit, and then we'll do a part two. So in the app, if you hit the web button, up comes tons of other information. Bottom right, mud floods Tataria. Bring food and water if you click that puppy, all right? Because this stuff, when you do this and find out our true history of the world, that there was an advanced civilization here before us, it changes everything, right? So why
Dave, let me touch on something real quick there.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of the magnetic field, the ether, the power generating stations that we consider to be cathedrals, that whole concept.
Yeah.
If it's true, how come nobody has shown that it works?
Oh, Tesla showed that it works. He got shut right down. J.P. Morgan, they basically killed him, and they took over the world. If you try to show any of this technology, you're considered a national security threat. It's taken from you, and you're put in jail. You're not allowed to file a patent that shows. I forget the term where where the output is more energy than the input, perpetual energy or whatever it's called. You're not allowed to do that. So, that's like saying, how come the New York Times, how come every reporter didn't, report on Building 7? It's because they control all of this, right? This free energy technology has been here for a long time. It's being used all around us. We just not allowed to see it because they control us with the energy, which is great for asking. But real quick, so let me show you this in the app, and then I'm really going to answer your question. Every day there's a featured video down here, and I say watch the video every day for 2 weeks, and then you too will lose the respect of your friends and family because you'll be a flat earther. But if you still think the earth is a globe, send me one proof, and I'll give you 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to hit the question mark button, which is over here, and up come all of the top questions that you're going to ask. Like, hey, why the lie? Hit why the lie. Up comes amazing stuff. I'm going to summarize it for you, but I highly recommend you watch all of these videos because they're amazing. And the lie is the most important thing ever. But one other thing, am I alone? Well, if I hit that little handshake button.
What, Dave? I'm sorry. They're asking what app.
Oh, so I'm going to show you the app in a second. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. But check this out. This is where I am. These are all other flat earthers around me. And if I click on one of the dots, I can send a person a text message. I can message them and say, hey, I'm having a little meetup. Everyone, let's get together. This is how we're using their technology against them to bring us together. So there's flat earthers all over the world. Right now, there's 22,000 blue dots on here, but that's only less than 20% of the people that actually have the app. And the people that have the app compared to the number of flat earthers is probably 1% of flat earthers. So we're everywhere. So everybody, just watch out because don't be the last one to get on the bus here. So
I can just say that.
Rod?
Good. I'm going to answer your question, but do you have something first? I don't hear anything.
Can you hear him, Jared?
Yeah, I can hear him. What's your question, Aaron? That Antarctica is the furthest we've been able to explore with Richard E. Burt.
I talked about it. Admiral Byrd flew out, said there's more land, and then they had the Antarctic Treaty. So,
what was that, about 9 years, Aaron? The Antarctic Treaty, something about having 38 or 39 years left.
Yeah, 2041, whatever number of years that is. They'll kick it down the road another 60 years.
He wants to know what it would take for all of us to bum rush Antarctica.
It would take that's a ridiculous question because it can't be done. So the way it is Antarctica is completely guarded. Well, wait, it's so big. How's it guarded? Remember the Falkland Wars? Remember that? Why did they fight over that little island? Let me show you why they fought over that little island. If I go into the images, this is how they protect Antarctica. These are the islands that go all around that are all military based. Falklands Islands are over near 7. Which one is that? Whatever. They're all run by the Crown. They're all military bases. You try to go to Antarctica anywhere. First, it's really hard. There's no resources, no fuel, there's no GPS, there's no compass. Nothing works there. You're going to have a really hard time, but you're going to be stopped before you even get to the shoreline. They're in the app under and what about Antarctica? There's a video called "Sorry, Antarctica is Closed," and that basically a lawyer put it together, showing us how hard it would be to. It costs you between like $200,000 and $2 million to apply for permits. It'll delay you for 1 or 2 years, and then they'll deny you, and they'll keep the money. And even people that get permission from their countries to go are stopped, arrested, and sent to jail. All right? So why the lie? Here's the thing. Everyone listening, including you guys, everybody, everything that you have in your life is because of the way that you think. right? It's how you think. The biggest conspiracy in this world is that the world is conspiring to deliver your desires to you. Your thoughts and fears, your hopes and fears are all delivered to you. You focus on it, it makes a magnetic resonance, and the universe tries to deliver. They don't want you to know. They want you to think you're spinning out of control on an infinite space dust in a godless or distant god, vacuum of nothingness where we're afraid asteroids are going to take us out like they took out the dinosaurs. Fake. Where we're running out of food. Impossible. We're running out of land. Everyone could have a quarter acre in Texas, and the entire world can live in Texas, right? None of this stuff is true. They want us living in fear. They want to limit our thoughts by putting us in a prison for our mind, and that prison is the globe. Okay? So that's shortening your just imagination. Your imagination is what builds this world. So they don't want you knowing any of that. They want you not knowing that you're at the center of creation, that this place is intelligently designed. What does that mean? That means there's a creator, and there's no way to then deny that. Whoever that your relationship with the creator is, that's your own personal journey, not mine or anyone else's. They don't want you to know that there's free energy. They don't want you to know that there's more land. They don't want you to know that you're free and that nobody has control over your mind except in your imagination. Nobody has control over you except in your imagination. Imagine this. The whole world listens to this podcast tonight. Tomorrow they go, this guy's made a lot of sense. Let's stop listening to those psychopaths that are telling us to do ridiculous things supposedly for our health. It's over. It's over in an hour. Right? It's over that fast. Why the lie? This is how they control us. Because here's something. I used to wake people up to a lot of things. I had one thing called Exposing the Big Three, the New York event, the Connecticut event, and the Boston event. And
I'm sorry, Dave. What they're saying is if everyone were to look at this app and everyone were to accept the fact that it were true,
yeah,
could they stand against everyone just going?
Oh, no, they couldn't. If everyone in the world, just woke up, there's no one to stand against. The elite are nobody. They're the 1/10 of the 1/10 of the 1/10 of 1%. They're nobody. But we just believe that they have power over us. Nobody has power over you. And here's the thing. This is hard for a lot of people to believe is they can't just break our free will.
If a sufficient number of people woke up, could we travel over Antarctica to see what's on the other side?
No, because here's why. They have the militaries of all of the world that could stop us. So let's say we had unlimited funds. So what do we have? We get a destroyer. What kind of ship do you want to get? We load it up with people and supplies. We get to Antarctica. We somehow get up on top of the ice, which is like 200 feet high because it's the highest land on Earth. You got to remember that. Then what are we going to do? There's not a leaf that grows there. There's nothing. Where's our food? Where are you going to go to the bathroom? Where are you going to get supplies? How are you going to navigate? Compasses don't work. GPS doesn't work. Okay? It's freezing cold. It gets dark. How are you going to do it? Where are you going? All right? You need massive military support to explore Antarctica. However, there may be, not that far, a couple thousand miles, other worlds. There's people that claim, military people. We talked to somebody who is a listener of mine, was working for a 90-year-old guy that was in the Air Force, and the guy noticed the person had a flat Earth sticker on their car and said, "I like your sticker." They started talking. The guy's like, "Well, I really can't say anything. I have a non-disclosure. I've been to Antarctica many times." He goes, "I'm not allowed to talk about it until I'm 100 years old." And he got really quiet. He's like, he's really nervous, like really nervous. Like, why do you get that nervous? And they pushed a little farther, and he said, "Well, let me tell you this. There's a lot of people in Antarctica, like a lot of people, but they're not allowed to come here. They're not allowed to communicate with the inside world. We're the inside world." Okay? There may be cities in Antarctica that we're unaware of. You're like, well, how could they stop them? Well, how can we not stop them? We got, North Korea, if you believe that nonsense, that's right there in the middle of everywhere, and we don't know what's going on there, and they don't know what's going on out here. So easy to do it with waters and for ice and whatnot. So Yeah, Antarctica, wanting to go to Antarctica, that is smart. North Pole also, very interesting what's up there or in there. Logistically, financially, it's not easy. It's not easily done.
So real quick, 3 questions.
Go.
In succession. Why don't we
because
fall off?
Richard Byrd had the military support to get it done, so no, it can't get done.
Right. So why don't we fall off the earth? Are you really going to ask that question?
So I'm telling you that's a legitimate question. Second one.
Wait, one at a time. Let's do it. Hold the question. The answer is, if you're on a lake, can you sail around the lake? Yes. Can you sail across the lake? Yes. What happens when you get to the edge of the lake? Do you fall off?
No.
Okay, we're on a lake. The shoreline, the Antarctica is the shoreline. Do you fall off Antarctica? This is what happens when you get to Antarctica. There's land, ice. This is it. You don't fall. You're down here. You got to climb up there, and then you can walk across that snowy plain, that frozen plain. Where are you going? Where are you going to fall off? Now, is there an edge? I couldn't tell you. I've never been there. Do I think there's an edge? I think it goes on. I don't know how far it goes on. I really don't. Maybe it terminates. Maybe the dome terminates there and there's nothing beyond it. And it's water above and water below. I don't know. And neither do you, and neither does anyone else, in this group.
Okay. So the next question was meteors, comets, and how come we can see other planets through our amateur telescopes?
Hold on a second. Manuela, what was your question? Could Earth be a spaceship?
No, it's not moving. So let's talk about the planets.
We're not moving, he said.
Yeah. So let's talk about the planets. Mars is this dusty, dirty ball farther from the sun than we are. Right? But if you look at, or Jupiter is even worse. This is what Mars really looks like. So Jupiter is a gassy planet, right? A gassy, distant planet. And if you look at Jupiter, it's been near the moon lately. It's bright. It's the brightest star in the sky. Well, if you were on Jupiter looking at the sun is tiny. It's almost the size of a star. It's so far away. You have to believe that star, that distant star, is lighting up Jupiter and reflecting back to Earth brighter than any star. That's scientifically provably impossible, even if it was a mirror, let alone a non-reflective gassy planet. Okay, and we see it brighter than any star. The thing that we call Jupiter is all of them are known as wandering stars. This is what NASA tells us Jupiter looks like. Okay, well, this is one way. This is a time lapse. Over a couple of days, right? With all of these gases moving in different directions. But then NASA will show us a picture of Jupiter, which never changes, right? 2014, 2016, every cloud is the same. NASA claims that they saw the Northern Lights, which proves that it has a magnetic center. This is ridiculous. I could do this in MS Paint. I don't even need Photoshop, all right? So this is the exact same painting model. They have a model of this, right? And people just believe it. But you have to believe that we're seeing that bright thing. Look at the planets. You'll see they're called wandering stars. They're all named after gods. What are they? I don't know. I think they're sentient in nature, and I think they have to do with our life here on Earth. Go ahead. Next question.
Janet, what was your question about the pyramids? Saying that talking about the pyramids being along ley lines and they carry electrical current, does that relate back to the original free power source of?
Absolutely. The whole ley lines of this earth. And if you look at all of the old buildings, how they had waterways and towers and domes, this is all Antiquitech. Click the Tataria button in the app. Check it out. Once you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll be like, wow. And once you see it, you'll know how much you don't know. Okay. Globers think they know everything because they went to school, right? Like a fish, right? A school where they train you to memorize and regurgitate, and you get penalized for thinking.
Texas Patriot, what was your question? Texas Patriot. Because the military is preventing people from going. That's why we can't go. Janet was asking what your thought was on crystals within the earth.
Yeah, the what I've realized is every single thing on Earth, from stones to just everything, was alive at one point. Right? Once you start looking into Tartaria and giant trees and everything, and Titans, there's a Titan button in the app. Once you start seeing this stuff, you'll realize this Earth is nothing like geology tells us. It's all nonsense. There's so much impossibilities. I just added today, at the day of this recording, the top video in the Tartaria button. It's a 2-hour video of these people just exposing these buildings and these remains from previous civilizations in the hillsides. It's amazing. Once you see it, you can't deny it. It's unreal how much this stuff is around us. And once you see it, you can't go outside without seeing the world in a whole new way, because we've been blinded our entire lives. They want us literally just believing nonsense, thinking that we're nothing, not seeing anything. And they're using it to control us. And right now, I don't know if you noticed, we're in what's called the Great Reset. Happens every 100 years. And if we don't take our heads out of our butts and put on our big boy pants, we're going to be in for a long time of slavery. There's two things the way they control us. They control us by limiting our thoughts, by putting us in the matrix of the globe. Think of Neo at the beginning of the Matrix. He's lost. He's depressed. Something's wrong with the world. He can't figure it out because his mind is still plugged into the Matrix. And then look at Neo at the end of the Matrix. He's taken back. He's unplugged from the Matrix. He sees the world for the way it is, and put those two next to each other. The Neo at the beginning and the Neo at the end, right? This is what's happening now. People are unplugging from the Matrix and seeing the world, taking their power back. And then the Mr. Smiths, that's all they are, Mr. Smiths, will have no power over us once we realize it. That's the problem. The other way they control us is with their monopoly money, right? And when I say monopoly money, go match up the 5, 10, 20, 50, and $100 bills. They're the same color, and the $1 bill, they're the same color as Monopoly. And in the game of Monopoly, it says if the bank runs out of money, just get pieces of paper, and write more money down on it and keep playing. That's how we're playing. They don't need money. They need money to control us. Okay? We need to get off of their currency and get into our own privacy cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin, not the government Fed coin or digital currency. We need privacy cryptocurrencies that they can't inflate, that they can't touch, like Monero or Pirate Chain. There's another one called Hex out there. These cryptocurrencies are the key to our freedom. And until we do that, here's the thing. If we get our freedom back, how long are we going to keep it if we're spinning out of control, lost in space, don't know who we are, don't know our true power? And the answer is not long at all.
One last
question.
question.
Can I ask a question about,
yes.
Sorry, Jay, one quick, Rebecca. What is the significance of 12 months versus 13? Why do you think they cheated us a month?
That's a great question. And it's the same thing with like daylight savings time. The story behind daylight savings time is so the farmers can farm more. That's like saying, you know what, my blanket when I sleep in is a little too short. My feet are cold, so I want to cut a foot off the top and sew it onto the bottom. It's ridiculous. It's to throw off our body clock. We are part of the Earth system. This is
That makes sense.
Yeah, this is an entire living system. We are connected to the wandering stars, the fixed stars. We're connected to the ether. We're connected to the earth. The sun and the moon are lifelines. You know, I think the moon has to do with the delivery and removal of souls. Souls are the currency of this world. We have no idea how this place really works. And once you understand all of those things, you'll see. What was your exact question again? I lost track of your question.
I just wanted to know what the significance would be for them to cheat us out of
right. So
I think how you said it was wonderful.
Yeah, so they just hijacked our calendar. They don't tell us when the equinox is. They don't tell us any of this stuff, right? And all of the stuff. The sky is a perfect clock. It's not a beehive of stars flying in every direction. You know, the idea that we can have an eclipse with a sun 400 times bigger and 400 times farther than the moon, which makes them look like the same size. And then if that happened, crazy, the chances of them lining up are like bazillions to one, right? And then the chances of them lining up again in this crazy beehive system, it's infinitesimal. It's so small, it could never even happen. But the thing is, it happens every year. There's eclipses every year. And guess what? And they happen in like cycles. And after 18 years, all of the eclipses repeat exactly how they did the previous 18 years. Okay? They repeat again and again and again. These cycles of eclipses happen every 18 years. Does that sound like a crazy beehive helio nonsensical BS system? Or does that sound like a intelligently designed creation far beyond what we can even understand?
Well, David, I would like to thank you for coming on. I think you've given a lot of people some food for thought. And we'll
here's
have to get our technology thing worked out a little better so that people can ask those questions directly rather than having to go through me.
All right. But, next time we'll do another one. But here's the thing. Don't believe anything I've told you. I just pointed towards a whole bunch of doors that you didn't know were there. I've unlocked them and I've given you permission to go through and explore. The problem is you need time. You need effort, and you need to use your brain. You need to use your common sense where they've convinced you to trade in for nonsense, okay? If you want to research Flat Earth, do not Google it. If you do, just be a baller for the rest of your life because you're going to get fed stuff by Man Dan and Not Professor Dave and Bill Nye, the Lying Guy. You're going to just get fed all of this troll. They have troll farms, hundreds of videos every day that will... I call it the turd in the punch bowl method. There's so many turds in the punch bowl, you can't find the good information. Even if you searched A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth 21 Questions by ODD Reality. That's like one of the #1 videos. It won't come up. It'll come up with all of the propaganda nonsense, right? Which will tire your mind, and tire you out, and then you'll give up. And you'll just say, screw this Flat Earth thing. It's a bunch of infighting. It's a bunch of idiots. It's not. Flat Earthers are the smartest people I've ever met. Right? These are people that are willing to change their mind based on new information. So the app, I created this. It's $3, one-time charge. You do not need to subscribe. There is a subscription if you want to be able to send messages to other Flat Earthers, but you don't have to do it. Okay? $3.99, $2.99. Read the reviews. Don't buy the app. Just go read the reviews. All right? The reviews, that's the highest rated app in the App Store. Everyone loves it. And
It's great. I'm telling you guys.
Thank you. And people subscribed before I even had the friend finder because they wanted to support it further so I can make more additions to it, right? I wanted to put a donation button, but I had to make it a subscribe button because they don't allow donation buttons, right? And it gets you nothing. It gets you nothing other than the thing that doesn't pop up and say, would you like to subscribe once a day with no commercials? And you can exit out immediately. So check it out. Read the reviews. Watch the daily video every day. At least you will have something to talk about instead of sports and weather and COVID madness. Right? It'll give you something.
So one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready for this? I'm going to put you on the spot.
There's nothing that's going to put me on the spot. Go ahead.
Do you believe Trump won?
That's a great question. And the answer is, I'll give you two answers. One is I don't believe in elections. I believe it's all nonsense. But I do believe that 99% of the freaking country voted for him. It doesn't matter whether it's so that would be, Trump won. But just look at the rallies. Look at Biden couldn't fill up a friggin' parking lot at Bloomingdale's or anywhere, and Trump has parades, miles and miles long. Do I think Trump is a good guy? Maybe, but maybe he's so compromised. Maybe they showed him stuff that he's like he gave up and realized that there's nothing he can do. I don't know the answer. I don't know.
You answered it. So I think we need to do part 2. So we'll reach out.
Okay.
I'll turn it back over to you, Jared. David, thank you so much. You answered so many of my questions. There was one, and I don't know if you went on your way out. Somebody asked about Ronald Amundsen and his party on the 14th of December, 1911, reaching the South Pole. It was an unanswered.
Yeah, you can go to a certain point and you can turn around. No one goes across the South Pole. They've cut across that little peninsula, but that's not going across the South Pole. Like they go. It's not a good map. They cut across a little spot. Nobody goes that way and ends up over here because, as you can see, that's impossible. Impossible.
Thank you so much. Jared, anything else?
No, I think that does it, Dave. Thank you very much. And we'll get back in touch about taking next steps.
All right. And if you can't remember the name of my app, which is really long, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, just remember Flat Earth Dave. FlatEarthDave.com. The links are there. You can find my podcast there. All sorts of information there, and check it out. My YouTube channel is DITRH. It's just the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And the best thing is to get the app, and the last thing is don't let them control your mind with cartoons, because that's what they do, right? It's all cartoons.
We've got your QR codes for both Apple and Android.
It's that QR code. That QR code is actually the same. Oh, you guys have the old ones. That's fine. But the QR code that I was showing brings you to both now. So either way, it's good.
If you put it up right now, I'll take a screenshot and I'll share it to the community.
I will put it up right now. Bam.
So Richard Branson
and
Jeff Bezos, do you think that's a soft red pill, or do you think, from flying low Earth orbit, or?
So they went up in what's called a 0G plane. They're not in his plane. He's about to throw up because he can't take it. This is just a regular airplane. They always have the girl with the long hair flipping around, and they said he was up there for 4.5 minutes. Well, where's the 4.5 minutes of uncut footage? They only show us like 4 or 5 or 6 seconds at a time. He was in a 0G plane. They did a whole bunch of takes. They edited it together, and then he landed in his stupid little plane and made his speech. Nonsense, complete and total nonsense. And then when you look at it, it's just 0G flights. These people aren't in space. And then we exposed it so bad that Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, he came out and backpedaled, and he goes, yeah, they didn't really go to space. They kind of just went up and did a parabolic arc, and he had to own it again. That's keep right. Getting them to have to eat it every single time.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll reach out. I'll communicate, and we'll promote the part 2 of 5, and then we'll go forward, and maybe we can do a collection of questions so you can have some preparation.
I don't want the questions in advance, but I'd love you to connect. Okay. If you can just get a list of questions, do not give them to me in advance. Let's just go. All right. As soon as you guys have a list of questions, hit me up. We'll schedule another show, and we'll do it from there.
God bless you, brother. Good. Thank you.
All right, man.
Appreciate it, Dave. And
thanks.
OG, give me a call.
I will do that. Thanks, Dave.
All right, guys. Bye.
God bless you, sir. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the extra 32 minutes.
You got it. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You all love the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The best tool to show your friends and strangers how the Flat Earth actually works. But are you ready for a Flat Earth app game changer? A new feature has been added. But first, a reminder of some of the existing features. Video of the day. World time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add a countdown to your next big date. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth. Top 21 frequently asked questions with quick pop-up video answers. Access to the best photos and GIFs at your fingertips. Flat Earth books and merchandise, and more. Now, the game-changer upgrade we've always dreamed of having. After a year in development, our app just went next level. You're now able to find Flat Earth app users near you. See where they are and send them an instant message in the app. Instantly arrange for a Flat Earther meetup. When activated, blue dots mark the location of the app users near you. You have 3 choices on showing your location. PP, to pinpoint. This marks your exact location. CC, for city center, which will place you within a few miles of your current location. Or turn off, which removes you from the map altogether. Use it when traveling, or when you're out for a day at the beach, or while eating out somewhere. Find out where other Flat Earthers are and connect. Find like-minded Flat Earth app users and regain your sanity. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.